Ladies and gentlemen, today we bring to you not one, but two full races in this one live stream, and it's on NASCAR 07 for the Busch Series. Can't wait to see what today brings. We have two great racetracks, two fun racetracks, and we're going to have two very, very entertaining races for you guys. First, we're at the Talladega Superspeedway for the running of the Aaron's 312, and then following this, we will be running at the Bristol Motor Speedway on a short track as well. Two of definitely my favorite racetracks, and I'm sure a lot of your guys' as well. Be sure to hit the like button, subscribe for more daily NASCAR content, live commentary streams on the weekend for the real races, and the video game streams during the week, NASCAR related, obviously. Any day, really, I could get these streams out to you guys. So, here today, this is the 4th and 5th races of the season out of 30. It is a custom schedule season. We are racing as Jimmie Johnson because you guys had voted for me to race as him. And we are currently sitting 6th in the point standings. We're tied for 6th with Ryan Newman, but we have 2 wins this year, so we have the tiebreaker over him. Newman does not have one. Still have not qualified on the pole yet through the first 4 races. We will be starting at the tail end of the field in this race today. No practice, no qualifying. We're going to get into it, and we're going to hope for the best. That's all I've got. Let's get into this first race. It's going to be kind of a longer night between these 2 races, but at least with the Busch Series, we know the races are shorter, so hopefully we'll have some, again, good racing. And hopefully we have better luck than what we had at Daytona in the first race of the year, because Jimmie Johnson finished a lap down in that one and just didn't seem to have the pace. Green flag is in the air. Tony Stewart will lead the field to the green, and we are underway at Talladega. Wade Zielinski, Patrick Shadley, Weather Expert Gaming, welcome to the stream. Jimmie Johnson taking off well in the restart. That's something that he struggled with back at Daytona. He is 3 wide middle on the back straightaway, but he is keeping up with these guys after he got to 4th gear. Although, the problem is, he didn't have anybody behind him with the 151 taking him 3 wide. He may lose the pack off of turn 4. It's going to be very close. Ryan Newman going to try to lead lap 1 at the front of the field as he has gotten by Tony Stewart. So the Rocket Man out in front to start this race today, and Jimmie Johnson at the tail end of the field. So I got up to speed really good, but the problem is I didn't have anybody behind me, so I wasn't able to stay in the draft. And that was kind of the problem at Daytona. Now I will say at Daytona I just didn't take off well. Didn't mess with the gearing before the start of this race. Interesting. Ken Clark, thanks for tuning in. I had fun watching WrestleMania, honestly. It was kind of a weird... Like, the wrestling was good last night. I don't know what night was better, personally. I was looking forward to more matches that were on the card on Saturday versus Sunday. I felt like the matches themselves were probably better on Sunday. We're going to take our first field pass of the day, by the way, so Johnson doesn't lose too much time. Driving is Brian Vickers in the 57. He's in 24th right now. Yeah, I thought the matches were pretty good, though, last night. I feel like a lot of the better storylines were the night before, outside of the main event, really. It was like the only storyline. I mean, that, and I guess you can kind of say the Edge and Finn Balor match, had a good storyline too, but I feel like I was more looking forward to the match itself, not because of the story, compared to some of the other matches on Saturday night. That's just for me personally, though. Ryan Vickers getting a nice push on the front stretch. Trying to close back in on Bernie Lamar again. But with this Hendrick Chevy stuck in the middle of the pack. It was mainly Jimmie Johnson that struggled at Daytona in the season opener, not so much Brian Vickers or Kyle Busch. I can't remember exactly where Vickers finished, but I do know Kyle Busch won the race. And if a Hendrick Chevy goes to victory lane in this 4th race here today, 4th race of the season today, then they will have won the first 4 races of the season, and somebody got the wall off turn 4. Vickers saw it and immediately pulled to the bottom of the racetrack, passes about 5 cars on the front stretch, gets to 20th. Now the pack is split into 2, and we will transfer to Kyle Busch in the 5. It was a lot closer in the front of the field into turn 1 in 6th. These 5 cars just got shot out of a cannon in front of Busch. I swear they were like right in front of us. Busch must have lost momentum somehow. Maybe right before we switched to him. Waiting for the bottom to open back up again. Jeff Burton was down on the apron trying to pass me. His left sides were down there at least. Oh boy. Oh, that didn't work. I saw Boyer. Down in the grass goes Kyle Busch. I saw Clint Boyer up high, and I was like, oh shoot, don't go there. And then I cut low, and then there was a car underneath me, which I did not see. I couldn't tell who that was. I think it might have been Danny O'Quinn Jr. in the 50. Slide through the grass for Kyle Busch. We stay great. Now the pack is even further behind. BMW made 206. Thanks for tuning in. I was shocked that Roman Reigns won last night, though. I feel like it was pretty universal that like Cody Rhodes was going to win, and then he didn't. Now I'm like, now I'm wondering, when is he going to lose? Like, is he ever going to lose? Because if any night was going to be the night, I thought last night would be it. We'll go back to Jimmy Johnson in the 48. Now to get start for Hendrick Motorsports in race 1 of our doubleheader today at Talladega. Johnson up to 38th. Yeah, I did switch cars. One of the features in the older EA games. NASCAR 06 through 09 at least. Good swap with your teammates. Johnson just getting a run off of Paul Menard. Now that he does have traffic behind him, though, he is cutting through the field finally. Wasn't really able to ever crack the top 10 on speed back in the season opener at Daytona, so he's looking to try to do that here today. Contact with Paul Menard. He clipped the apron going into the corner. And once he clipped the apron, he went up the hill. Menard, I believe, got into the outside wall. Johnson did not get in the wall. 116 blocking the 151. Johnson back underneath that 151 car. Both Johnson and the 151 started 42nd and 43rd today. And they have just gotten to just outside the top 30. 117 laps in this first race, 312 miles is the distance. Starting to lose some of those back marker cars behind Johnson for right now. Should be a 3 pit stop race today also. I was afraid of that. Yeah, they started merging towards the outside. Johnson trying to keep his momentum up on the bottom. Maybe getting a draft off the 42 of Casey Mears just enough. Mears 3 wide right now. Kevin Harvick moves to the inside right in front of the 48. And Bernie Lamar almost chopped off Kevin Harvick in the middle of the corner who had a massive run behind Mears. A run for Jimmy Johnson to the outside. Bernie Lamar underneath him. And out of the outside of Ryan Hornaday in the 33. And I believe they're 3 wide with Jimmy up high. He's trying to hold his lane. Hasn't really ran the outside today until now. Bernie Lamar clear of the bottom, but it looks like Hornaday and Johnson both getting freight trains simultaneously. Boris Seb gets underneath both of them, gets by both of them. Johnson trying to side draft with the 116 car and just pulls clear getting into turn 3. Gets back to the bottom, trying to draft off Boris Said. Said pulling away from the 48 of Jimmy Johnson as he gets by Bernie Lamar. Johnson back to the top to try to get with the Chevy of Hornaday again. Game mode, this is just a season mode also, by the way. Sorry I didn't answer the second part of your question. It's a season mode, but it's a custom schedule season. I usually put that in the title, but I didn't have enough characters to do that for the title today with trying to cram both Talladega and Bristol into the title. Some more runs here for Jimmy Johnson up the middle between Set and Hornaday. 195 miles an hour into turn 3. Burped the throttle a little bit, trying to keep it off to 77. He's going to find himself in the middle lane. He's got clearance to get back down to the bottom behind Lamar again. Quite a few cars in this pack. Oh, and they checked up big time in the tri-oval. Johnson gave a push to Lamar in the center of the tri-oval after they did check up. They're checking up even more. Big run for Jimmy. Crams it into the back of Jeremy Mayfield. Danny O'Quinn Jr., the car down on the bottom. Johnson to 21st. He shot the 9 car further out ahead. Almost squeezed Lamar into the outside walls. He was trying to get back up in front of him. A desperation move. Now Johnson to the outside. He's going to have to slow the pack up behind him a little bit, so he pulled to the bottom of the block. Now he'll let Lamar go. He's going to try to draft behind him. So Jimmy Johnson up to 22nd. Pack broken up even more now. 12 laps into this race. Todd Kluver almost got underneath the 48 of Johnson. Lamar and Johnson trying to catch this 4-car group up ahead. And Kluver also hanging with the 77 and the 48. Jimmy with the old bump draft. Kluver losing the 2 cars in front of him now as Johnson and Lamar pull away. I like this Dollar General scheme, by the way, for Lamar. I really, honestly, even Matt Kenseth's Dollar General schemes, Reed Sorensen in the Busch series. I guess it was Nationwide series at the time, but Xfinity series now. I always like the Dollar General. It was kind of basic, but paint scheme-wise, but yellow cars pop. Neon cars are really good. Really can't go wrong with a neon paint scheme. Johnson going to bump draft Lamar on the back straightaway again. Now the big thing here for Jimmy Johnson, he has to make sure he does not lose the 77 because obviously he's going to be pushing Lamar into turn 3. Now he backs off. Let's go. Can't let the 77 get away. You have to assume that he's going to get a big run off these 4 cars in front of him that are side by side. And Johnson doing a good job. I do think Jimmy's got a better car at Talladega today, though, than what he had at Daytona in the season opener. It feels that way because he wasn't really able to get inside the top 15 hardly at all, especially the top 20. Bottom lane opened up big time for him there. He'll catch back up to Mayfield, who caught that pack past about 4 cars. Johnson does the same. He's got John Andretti in the 10 behind him, trying to keep him with Mayfield. Almost got to the inside of the 48. That was close. '18th place for Jimmy Johnson. Tony Stewart pulling away at the front of the field. Johnson with a little bump draft to the 9 of Mayfield. The only car lapped down right now is Danny O'Quinn Jr., who's very slow after contact off the start with Kyle Busch. Fastest lap of the race, that last lap for Johnson, 49.553. Jimmy trying to stay with the 9 of Mayfield. He's getting a run on those cars just up ahead. Back straightaway for Johnson. Look at the speed he has down to the bottom of Mayfield, getting into turn 3. The 21 car moves down in front. Johnson got tight going into the corner. He makes contact with Mayfield. He stayed in the gas because he didn't want to lose the momentum. Somehow both cars kept it off the wall. Dangerous spot for contact. I thought they were headed to the wall. Honestly, it looked like that was going to be a wreck. It wasn't. And Jimmy does hang on to the draft of Jeff Burton just up ahead. If Johnson can work with his teammate Brian Vickers, that would be probably the most ideal situation for him. Honestly, I think he's just going to stay with Jeff Burton at this point. He's going to push him underneath of Brian Vickers. Vickers tries to latch on to Jimmy Johnson. That could be the move. And it sounds like already running pretty low on fuel at this point in the run. We have pit stops, it looks like, off of turn 4. Actually, it might be Danny O'Quinn Jr. again. I think it is. Yeah, so never mind on that. .49.250 for Johnson that last lap. Trying to clear the 2. Will break up the RCR Chevrolets of Boyer and Burton to get into that outside line. Go to Roozer. Hungry One, thanks for tuning in tonight. Massive run. Johnson to the back bumper of Jeff Burton getting into turn 3. Didn't give him a push. Johnson's got a car underneath him now. His teammate Brian Vickers. But we are getting close to green flag pit stops already, though. For whatever reason, fuel window very short. The Busch Series at Talladega appears. Vickers going to the bottom 3 wide. Now Johnson will try to work with his teammate. Getting into turns 1 and 2, they'll both make 3 wide passes. Clear to 12th and 13th. Vickers was 24th when we had that field pass initially. They drove up to 20th. Contact! Truex almost got turned off of turn 2. I think him and Boyer got together. Jeff Burton checked up just behind. And now the Hendrick duo of Vickers and Johnson getting away. This is going to be more than a 3-stop race tonight with how much these guys are burning fuel up. .9 seconds off the lead still. Honestly, with the way the fuel situation is, I'm not even going to take tires. I'm going to go fuel only on this first stop. Gas and go. I'm going to pit at lap 21 also. So the plan will be to pit at lap 21. And it sounds like there are other cars making their way on the pit road this time. Vickers going to stay out one more lap. Johnson will also. Cars in front of them pitting. Tony Stewart pitted from the lead. Gives the lead now to Mark Martin in the 6. So Stewart, who led all but the first lap of the race from the pole. Ryan Newman led that lap. And then Martin gets 5 bonus points for leading this lap. All the Cup guys have ran every Busch race so far. All the Cup regulars through these first 3 races, now into the 4th today. Vickers pulling away from Johnson off turn 2. He was catching the draft up. I believe that's Greg Biffle in the 16 just up ahead. Might be wrong on that. Jimmy trying to stay with the 57. The good news is Johnson's coming into the pits this time, so even though he's starting to lose the draft from Vickers, Jimmy will be on his way onto pit road. And it'll be a fuel-only stop, so he's got to make sure not to lock the tires up. And he did a great job not locking the tires up. So splash and go only for Jimmy Johnson. Yeah, this is weird. I was not expecting this for fuel mileage. Our first race at Dega in this game, obviously, but that is interesting, though, how many times we're going to have to pit in this one. I wonder if it's going to be like that in the truck and the Cup Series, too. Maybe more so in the Cup than the truck, because we only pitted once at Daytona in the Truck Series race. Jimmy Johnson trying to get up to speed. Elliott Sadler just behind him. I think Sadler actually led a lap at the beginning of the race as well. Could be wrong on that, but I think he did. Gotta stay down on the bottom of the racetrack. Mark Martin's on pit road as we speak. Caution flag is out. That is huge for Jimmy Johnson. Tony Stewart, who was the leader by a lot, was about to pass Johnson, but we got a caution right before it. Oh my goodness! Danny O'Quinn Jr. was out on the apron at speed in this race. He was off the pace, but he was at speed, just went through the grass, clobbered Reed Sorensen. Danny O'Quinn spun into the outside wall, and we get our first yellow of the race. And that is huge for Jimmy Johnson, because that is going to cycle him towards the front of the field, and he will be the leader. I mean, that couldn't have been a better time in yellow, because 2 seconds later, Tony Stewart was going to have the lead. But instead, it's going to be Jimmy Johnson, and the fuel-only stop got him out ahead of a lot of cars. Goes from 13th to 1st during the green flag stops. Everybody who didn't hit pit road yet hit pit road during the caution. A couple cars got trapped a lap down. As you see on the bottom on the restart of the lead lap cars, green flag is back in the air at lap 26. Well, we'll see what Jimmy can do at the front. It's going to be interesting. Hornaday's got to run down on the bottom in the 33. Underneath another 33 car of Tony Stewart. Johnson received 5 bonus points for leading laps under caution. No green flag laps led, though. A couple lap cars getting by on the outside. Tony Stewart, the 33, above the 48 of Jimmy Johnson, will take the lead. Now, Johnson does have older tires. Tony Stewart pulling ahead in the tri-oval. Hornaday to the inside of Johnson now. Stewart back out in front at Talladega. Hornaday a lap down also in the 33. Johnson got a little loose. Off of turn 2. Just gets down in front of Biffle. With his teammate Kyle Busch right in front of him. Exactly who Johnson's going with. And Tony Stewart was able to draft off those lap cars and pulled Johnson. That's why he pulled so far away, and then he passed the lap cars and he's pulling away from them now. It is absurd how fast Tony Stewart is in this race today. Came so close, really good finishes in the last 2 races, but he led a lot of laps in that second race of the year where Johnson got his first win of the season. Now Busch is getting the draft off the lap cars and pulling Johnson. Johnson barely holding on to Busch's draft. Stewart side by side with a lap car at the front of the field now. That's holding him up a little bit. Kevin Harvick is trying to get into the free pass position right now, or at least get in front of the pack to get his lap back. Trapped a lap down with that caution in the middle of green flag pit stops. Nice run for Jimmy. He gets to the inside of Busch. Passes him cleanly. Now he's right behind the 5. And the 2 low Chevrolets. Trying to go to work. Busch, of course, who won at Daytona in the first race. Trying to go back-to-back on super speedways in the season by winning the first Talladega race as well. He has caught Tony Stewart. Stewart with a block as they get their way into turns 3 and 4. Johnson goes with the 33 to the outside. He doesn't go with his teammate down low. Now he swaps lanes. He goes to the bottom. Kyle Busch is in the lead. Tony wanted to cut the 48 car off. Might have done it off. Johnson trying to side draft that left rear corner panel. Tony Stewart so close. He is there. But I think Stewart's going to have a little bit better. Nope, never mind. Contact getting into turn 1, and Busch is pulling away now after the contact between Johnson and Stewart. Johnson a little too aggressive with the side draft, and now Biffle tried to pull up a little early. He pulled up early on the 48, made contact with him on the back straightaway. All this contact is slowing the 48 car down. He's got to get his momentum back. Gets to the bottom behind Elliott Sadler, who pushed Biffle out in front of Johnson. Johnson falls to 5th. He does have another teammate behind him, of Brian Vickers, in the 57. They may try to work together. They were up until green flag pit stops. Fantasy driver up to 5th, 135. Johnson has a run. Kyle Busch is absolutely pulled away from the field. This pack's starting to reel Tony Stewart in second, but they are not reeling in Kyle Busch. So it appears it's going to be a 5-stop race today. Did have a caution. These drivers able to save a little bit of gas. Tony Stewart just got freight trained. Johnson couldn't get underneath the 33, though. He'll sit behind him. Back straightaway. Now he'll pull out of line, looking to make the pass on the 33. The side draft Stewart into the corner. That will move Johnson to 5th. Sadler and Biffle side by side for 2nd. Man, Johnson got into Sadler now. That's going to cut his momentum off. I don't think he's going to be able to clear the 90. It's going to allow Biffle in the 135 to get away. Whether it's Johnson's fault or somebody else's fault. Got a mixture of both so far with when the contact is being made. Sadler was able to reel in the 2 cars ahead of him just a bit. Johnson with a move, gets by Sadler, gets to the inside of the 135, and in the middle of turns 3 and 4. Hogging that bottom lane with Johnson, the 135 into the wall on the outside. Jimmy going to get some help from the 90. Contact. 135 car definitely couldn't hold the outside lane there. Now Biffle pulling away. First time we've seen Johnson up at the very front of the field with these other fast cars, obviously, and he's having troubles trying to keep with them. Big block on Stewart. Stewart squeezes to the inside of the 48 anyway off the exit of turn 4. That's it back to 6th. These guys are only 2 seconds off the lead. Frustrating how close Jimmy Johnson is. Just can't keep up with the leaders. It feels exactly how it was at Daytona, where the draft is just too strong for those other cars that get in front of Jimmy Johnson that can draft off the cars in front of them. If Jimmy doesn't have a car lined up right behind him, he can't get the push needed to keep up with the however many cars there are, whether it's 1, 2, 3 cars in front of him. The the draft off the front of the car just isn't the same as the draft off the back of the car. Trying to keep up with Kenseth. Kenseth trying to make a move on the inside. 135 car, he did. Oh, that car, slow. Bottom of the racetrack. Johnson got into the back of the 135. Just able to stay in the draft, though, behind these guys. Barely. Jimmy making moves. Kenseth squeezing. Getting into turns 3 and 4. They might train away now from the 48. That contact with Kenseth costed Johnson. Every time Jimmy gets a run, somebody tries to side draft and makes contact with him, and the run stalls out immediately. There was a slow car down at the bottom that stacked everybody up. Johnson was right there. And Kyle Busch was in the middle of that too. I mean, they have caught the race leader. .35 car down to the bottom. Johnson trying to get the turn in the car to quickly get behind him. It's just not enough. We are getting somewhat close to pit stops again. Our second stop of the day. Fastly approaching. 112 to the outside. Johnson going to fall back to 8th place. And I don't think he's going to keep up with him either. Oh. Kenny Wallace, next man up. The 22. Behind Jimmy Johnson. He's got to run. Johnson going to let him go and then try to draft behind him. Tried to side draft him just a little bit to slow him down before Kenny was able to clear the 48. Was that the difference? I don't think so, because I think Kenny was getting a draft off the 112 on the bottom lane in turns 3 and 4, and he pulled back away from Johnson again. Corey Freed and Billy Kramer welcome into the stream also. Quarter of a tank of gas left this point in the run. This is not ideal here for Jimmy Johnson. Losing all this track position. Didn't lead a green flag lap today, but he did lead under caution for a few laps. Said gets back up in front. That was a terrible block by Johnson, all things considered there. That got him really loose. Boris said gonna clear him. We're at lap 40. Johnson was within 2 seconds of the race leaders not that long ago. Now he's 5.7 seconds off the lead. I wonder how Tony Stewart feels. He was looking great before that caution came out. Bunched the field up together. I mean, it's very early in the race still, lap 26. Is when we restarted. Johnson going to stay out of the pits again. Definitely able to save fuel during that caution flag that came out. Jimmy went fuel only. His pit stop was under the yellow, or under green, and then the caution came out right as he was exiting pit road. So he was in the lead at the time. We're going to pit at lap 43. So Johnson will stay out this time by the pit at lap 43. Ryan Newman's really falling back too. He's outside the top 10. Right front tire wearing out a little bit more for Jimmy this point in the race. See what the interval is between Johnson and the race leader at the line, 7.6. I think we were like 7.9 seconds off the lead when I pitted earlier, but I wasn't going to be the leader when I came out. I mean, I was, but Stewart would have been ahead of us. But he would have been the only one ahead. Johnson is able to keep up with J.J. Yaley. The problem is he's going to be pitting this time anyway, so finally, by the time he's able to catch back up to somebody in the draft, he's going to end up hitting pit road this time by, so he's going to end up losing that drafting part. Johnson will not go another lap. He will pit this time. Got to make sure he does not speed. He's going to lock the tires up a little bit, but he had to make sure he wasn't going to speed onto pit road. So it's going to be a fuel-only stop once again for Jimmy Johnson. Fuel only in the first 2 stops of the day, so he's still on the same tires he started the race with. And the hope is, obviously, I mean, the good news is he only has to go 20 laps on fuel, roughly, a little more than that. 20 to 22 laps on fuel to take this run out. Clean stop. Kenny Walls going to beat the 48 out of the pits here. Johnson entering the racetrack. So 163. Oh man, he just ran right into the back of Kenny Wallace. I don't think he came out of the pits that fast either. Now they're side by side on the apron. Jimmy's going to try to get around them as quick as he can. And he does. Johnson scored 22nd. He tried to pull a Danny O'Quinn Jr. what he did to Reed Sorensen earlier, and they wrecked each other, but they didn't wreck each other there. One car closing in right now on Johnson off of turn 4. Not sure exactly who that is. Jimmy's going to try to draft with him. He's going to have to slow him down first. And obviously there's some more cars coming out of the pits. The other Hendrick cars are on pit road right now of Kyle Busch and Brian Vickers. It's the 135 car. And he almost got into Johnson. Very close to making contact with Jimmy there. Clint Boyer now leads for the first time. Contact with Kenny Wallace. I wasn't even trying to block. I got tight. Oh, caution. Caution's out. That bails Jimmy out big time. Caution flag is out. Oh, my goodness. That's the same thing that happened for the last yellow. Why do we have guys on the apron full speed? Oh, my goodness. I couldn't tell if Kyle Busch got a piece of that or not. It happened so quick. I think it was Elliott Sadler. Was the car he hit. I think he hit Sadler coming out of the pits. Everybody else coming to pit road right now. We're going to pit again. I'm going to take tires. I'm going to give up track position. I'm going to top off on fuel. That's the big thing here. So we're going to take tires. I know I just pitted, but I'm going to take 4 tires because maybe I can run these tires out to the end of the race then. And then just keep taking fuel only. And maybe we can be good on fuel on one less stop, is what I'm hoping for by topping off. There are other cars on pit road right now, too, so we may have cars behind us on the restart. Ideally, that would be great. Interesting strategy call. We're giving up a lot of track position, but I'm taking the tires. Yeah, we're still pretty high up in the running order. There are quite a few cars that hit pit road. I'm surprised. I thought we were going to have less pit, honestly. Green flag back in there. We're in 20th, so we only lost 7 positions pitting when we did. So I think that was a good call. Take tires. We gave up 7 spots. Hopefully we can get those spots back pretty soon. That's just been okay getting up to speed so far today. Hopefully that'll be the case again here. The car's fanning out in front of him. This is going to help him try to keep pace on the restart. A little bit of a block back straightaway. 3 wide on the bottom, but he doesn't have any help in front of him. That is the scary thing right now. Trying to side draft a little bit more, slowing some cars up. Now he's going to be 3 wide middle, getting into turn 3. One of the fantasy drivers got underneath him. That lead package got shot out of a cannon in the middle of turns 3 and 4. Caution, off turn 4, debris. Somebody hit it. I saw it flying in the air. Our 3rd yellow of the day. This is a debris caution this time off turn 4, the 101. Shedding some more damage. Man, do I pit again? I think I'm going to. Yeah, I'm going to pit again. There's a limit to how many tires I can take in the Busch and Truck Series. I give myself only 4 sets. So... Oh, and everybody's coming onto pit road. Everybody is coming in, so this is going to be gas and go only this time. I've only used 1 set of tires. It's going to be a splash and go for Kyle Busch. Everybody is coming onto pit road to top off. This is an interesting strategy race, I'll tell you that much. Man, if I would have stayed out to be the leader, but I'd also have less fuel than everybody else, so I'm kind of glad I pitted. There's 1 car, 2, there's a couple staying out. I think everybody that pitted the caution before is staying out. But I think some of them are back in again, though, too. Oh, this is... Yeah, there's a... I don't know. I'm lost. There's a lot of strategy. This is a strategy Talladega race. And it is tough to stay on top of. Casey Mears looks like he'll be the leader on the restart, the 42 for Chip Ganassi Racing. And I think with the fuel only stop there, Busch topped off. He's going to be in 3rd. Green flag back in the air. I think only lap cars stayed out to take the wave around. So Kyle Busch, I believe, is the leader. Stewart is in 2nd. They're right in front of Jimmy Johnson on the restart. Johnson to the outside of Stewart. Caution again, debris, I would imagine. Off turn 2, Jimmy holds on to 3rd. 4th yellow of the day. Definitely not pitting this time. More debris off the 101. This time it was his hood. I think his front bumper came off before. So 2 crashes and 2 debris cautions in today's race, bringing out our 4 cautions total. We had 5 in the season opener at Daytona. It was the most in the first 3 races of the season, and we're fastly approaching that already today, still in the first half of this race. It's definitely plagued the flow of it. Kyle Busch, again, will be the leader on the restart. That does allow a lot more cars to get back in the lead lap, though, that took the wave around. That's huge for them. Green flag back in the air. Lap 58. Dale Jr. and Kevin Harvick lap down, maybe some of the favorites in this race. Johnson, a little bump draft to the 112 in front of him. That might slow down a couple of these leaders, though. Jimmy is going to get out in front of Tony Stewart off of turn 2. He couldn't get going from 3rd to 4th gear, though, once he pushed the 112, but he did clear Stewart to the outside for 2nd. Kyle Busch pulling away with a couple of the lap cars at the front of the field. Johnson blocking for his life on the back straightaway until they get up to speed. Trying to remain in 2nd, 3 by 3 behind him. Jimmy trying to win 3 in a row. And Hendrick Motorsports trying to win these first 4 races of the season. Tony Stewart clear. He's up to 2nd again. Aaron Crocker to the inside of the 48. She's a lap down. Johnson's got equal tires with everybody else now. For the first time he's going to be with the leaders on equal tires in this race today. He's got a lot of cars behind him, so he's going to be able to keep up with Crocker. Crocker couldn't stay in the draft of Tony Stewart. The news is Johnson's in 3rd still, right where he restarted. And he has a massive run right now on the back of the 98. And he thought about pulling out a line to try to get to Stewart. He stayed behind Crocker instead. Crocker trying to get that draft off Tony. Hopefully having 4 fresh tires should help Johnson this time. Thing Thing is, he pulled everybody else behind them when he was bump drafting Crocker on the back straightaway, so he may lose Crocker and Stewart still. They're both on the outside also. Now Crocker gets to the bottom. That could help Johnson. It's very, very close. Jimmy's desperately trying to stay in the draft. Don't think he's going to be able to. He's going to have to wait for backup. Well, for the most part, everybody's on the same strategy. There were a lot of lap cars that stayed out and have gotten back on the lead lap, and they're not going to be able to go as far on fuel unless they pitted during the last caution, which they could have. 135 makes the pass for third. Johnson hoping he gets enough of a push. Kenny Wilson, the 22, to keep up with this 135. Sadler drops in line to the bottom behind Johnson. 135's not drafting off of anybody, but Jimmy Johnson just can't get a pole in the draft. This is the thing he struggled with the most at Daytona, and he's struggling with it again here at Talladega. The car just does not draft well. He's just going to give up on trying to catch a 135 to this point. Three seconds off the lead in fourth. Elliott Sadler's got a lot of damage on his car. I almost don't even want to sit behind him. Gonna have to, though. That Declan's flapping in the wind. Johnson blocks Mark Church Jr. I'm just hoping that thing, if it flies off, hopefully goes over our car. And I don't know if Sadler's going to be fast enough. I would imagine he's going to be slow enough for us to keep up with him at least. So it might work out. But I'm really, really hoping he sheds debris, we don't run it over. Because he has... But look at how much space is between the deck lid and the actual rear bumper of the race car. It's a lot. There's a lot of space. They need to tape that thing. Where's the bear bond? Sadler in a little bit different lane than the 135 just up ahead. Johnson's got to run. He's going to try to pass Sadler in the back straightaway. Smart move with the 90 having heavy damage. Johnson makes the swap. Passes Sadler for fourth. Now he's close enough to keep up with the 135 car in the middle of turns 3 and 4. Alright, that worked out. Now if he has debris, it'll just bunch the field back together again. Johnson with a big run. He's bump drafting in the middle of the tri-oval. Desperately trying to stay with this 135 car. Just ran his fast lap. 48.8 that last lap. The cars they're catching are all lap cars, though. None of them are on the lead lap. Johnson pulling out of line. That maybe wasn't a great idea. Johnson's the tail end of this crew. That giant pack is closing in, though, on these lappers. Johnson staying with Aaron Crocker. Can stay on the bottom with the 135 car. He's struggling to pass the 112. Johnson has a run down into turn 1. Gets by the 98. Blocking a lot. Johnson going to try to make another swap. .135 underneath the Ty Kluver in the 06. Jimmy Johnson gets that draft. Didn't hit the 135 very square when he pushed him in the tri-oval, but they hang on. 3 seconds off the lead. They gained a little bit of time. About half a second getting by those lappers. Tony Stewart, Kyle Busch are not together. It's kind of the big thing right now. Now Johnson can keep up with this 135 car. He can bump draft him. He doesn't have to worry about him pulling away, at least until they catch Tony Stewart. Eat into that lead. They may not even catch him before pit stops. We're halfway through this fuel run. And the fuel run's so short in this game in the Busch Series at Talladega, as we've seen today. This is a bumpy Talladega surface, too. I think they repaved it for the fall race in 06. So that's why it's still a bumpy surface with this game that came out in 2006. I mean, technically, this is a spring race. This is the only race for the Busch Series. Our custom schedule season will have a couple more at this racetrack. Jimmy Johnson's definitely found a drafting partner. Irvin in the 135, by the way. Mike George, thanks for tuning in. Got 14 people watching, 13 likes on the stream. Thanks for everybody tuning in here on this Monday night. First race of 2 on our doubleheader Monday for the Busch Series on NASCAR 07. Custom schedule season, trying to win Jimmy Johnson the title here in the Busch Series. 7-time NASCAR Cup champ. Only one career win in the Busch Series up until we've already gotten him 2 wins this season, so I guess that gives him 3 now. And they're only 2 seconds off the lead. I think Tony Stewart is slowly running down Kyle Busch as well. May make it harder for Johnson to keep up with this 135 car once they catch Tony Stewart, Kyle Busch. Jimmy's just got to hope that he can keep pace with these guys, because he hasn't really been able to do so today, whether he's on old tires or fresh tires. So track position will matter for that reason. He's got a better chance on fresh tires, but at the same time, we haven't really seen that. These two are about 2 to 3 tenths quicker than Kyle Busch that last lap. Tony Stewart might be quicker than him, though, so this will be interesting. Stewart looked to be the guy to beat in the early going, and then the middle going of this race, Kyle Busch has been leading a lot of laps. No, these are full races. 2 100% races tonight. Another bump draft. Johnson and Irvin closing this gap. Imagine a fantasy driver wins at Talladega. This would probably be the place to do it, even with all these Cup regulars in the field. 1.2 seconds off the lead now. They've been consistently 2 to 3 tenths quicker a lap. Not going to catch him this lap, though. So Johnson could probably get away with bump drafting the 135 again on the back straightaway. You know what? Sure, we'll do it. Gonna bank on Tony Stewart not being close enough for us to draft with right now. Massive bump draft, by the way. Johnson's still sticking close with Irvin. But they have closed that gap a lot. Stewart goes to the bottom. Busch on the outside. Borland's not going to be close enough to draft off Kyle Busch. That's going to be massive. And Busch actually moved to the bottom in the center of the corner. He's still down towards the inside. Jimmy Johnson and Irvin have caught Tony Stewart. A bump draft on the back straightaway. Johnson's just hoping he can keep up with these guys. He gives the 135 another shot in the middle of the corner. Dangerous place to hit him. And it is a 4-car race. They have stuck together. Jimmy Johnson has not lost anybody in the draft. He's got a run in the tri-oval, makes a move for third. He's going to get it. And if he can get a car behind him, that'd be huge too. Now has a run, gets to the outside of Tony Stewart. May try to go with his teammate Kyle Busch. He's side-drafting Stewart heavily in the middle of the corner. Couldn't hang on. Johnson hasn't led a green flag lap all race, finally contending for the lead for the first time. Tony Stewart has a run underneath Kyle Busch. He blocked Jimmy Johnson on the bottom lane as they work their way into turns 3 and 4. Busch going with his teammate on the outside in the middle of the corner. Tony Stewart going to try to clear. There's contact between Stewart and Busch. Tony Stewart to the lead. It slows Busch down so much that Johnson's going to get to second. He's got a run on the 33. Goes to the bottom, into the corner. Body slams his way to the lead into turn 1. Tony Stewart has lost the lead. Can Johnson go all the way back around, though, to get his first green flag lap lead of the day? Fuel running low, but he'll stay out this time by it. The plan will be to pit at lap 74. So lap 74 will be the scheduled pit stop. We have seen cautions in the middle of green flag stops a couple times already today. Could shake up the running order if we see it again. With Jimmy Johnson out in front of Talladega. Oh, Irvin, sorry. Dwayne Borland was on the 135 in the last game, but there's Irvin in this game. Had a run. Johnson going to lead at the line. Finally leads a green flag lap. It's nice to know that we did get up here. We can compete with these guys. It is possible. Jimmy will pit this time. And it will be fuel only. The 135's coming with him. Locked the tires, barely got onto pit road without speeding. It was very close. Fuel only for Jimmy Johnson. Splash and go. Oh, a little bit of a mistake there. Hopefully that doesn't cause them. Hopefully they can get the car full of fuel. That's going to make a little bit longer of a stop. 10.8 seconds. I'm really hoping they got it full. Bit of a hiccup when they first tried to engage the fuel can. Lap 75 right now. We had cautions in the middle of green flag pit stops the first 2 times. We'll see if it'll happen again here. Tony Stewart out in front right now. Hasn't pit yet. Kyle Busch is in. Johnson scored in 21st currently in this race. Should cycle out as a leader. Will alternate through the different camera angles for the first time in the race today. Caution again, never mind. Caution flag is out at Talladega with about 42 to go. Greg Biffle gets turned coming into the pits, it looks like, by Jeremy Mayfield. Fishtailing. I don't know how no more cars wrecked there. I think they were all coming into the pits and Mayfield just turned Biffle on his way in. Wow. 3rd caution in the middle of green flag stops. Our 5th caution of the day. The plan is going to be to stay out of the pits here for Jimmy Johnson. All that work to get to the front. It looks like he'll be in 3rd on the restart. There were some cars that were on pit road that will be scored ahead of him here. Green flag back in the air. Johnson will be in 4th. lap 80. And we're down to 38 laps left. It's 4th race of the season at Talladega. 3 wide towards the bottom goes Johnson. It's going to get him to 3rd. Something happened to the pack further behind the 48, and he's therefore losing the 4 cars in front of him because he doesn't have drafting help. Man, I just wish we could cycle through green flag stops one of these times. Even with that pit road mistake because of go at fuel only, Johnson would have been the leader. Quite a wide margin. As they get up to speed, Matt Kenseth is leading this race for the first time today. 17 car out in front. Johnson remains in 3rd, 2.5 seconds off the lead. He's going to have to let somebody get around him to the bottom. There's a couple lap cars up there with the leaders right now. Paul Menard in the 11 is a lap down. He'll get out in front. Johnson up to block Burton. 112 will clear the 48. Also a lap down, so Jimmy's still in 3rd. He's going to have to work with a lap car, it looks like, to try to catch the leaders. Hopefully they'll be fast enough. Johnson on older tires. Took him almost the entire fuel run to catch him the last time, though, and it may be the same scenario again. He was about 3.5 seconds off the lead earlier. Almost 3.5 back now. Paul Menard clears him going into turn 1. Johnson slipped up the track a little bit. I don't know. He might stay with Menard. It's tough to tell for sure. 112 gets in line behind him. That's not the way to get it done, though. Maybe it actually, you know what? It might have worked. I don't know how he kept the momentum up. Usually something like that happens, you don't. Johnson was able to keep his momentum up. He closes on Menard anyway. Be hard for Menard. .34 to go, I believe. I think we're only 1 pit stop away. We're 3.5 seconds off the lead after that contact with 112. Been a grind today for Jimmy Johnson. Trying to go for 3 wins in a row. Hendrick Motorsports as a whole trying to go for about 4 wins in a row. Not sure if the 2nd place car is with Kenseth or if there's a lap car and then the 2nd place car up here. I couldn't tell who was in 2nd. Kenseth the beneficiary of that caution. Johnson was earlier in the race too, so I'm not going to act like I didn't get a caution that didn't help me. I just couldn't keep up with the leaders at that point in the race for whatever reason. Still trying to figure out the draft in this game. I won the Daytona 500 and I still don't know how, but here we go. Johnson bump drafting Menard all the way down the back straightaway. Even a little bit in the middle of turns 1 and 2. Was able to keep up though. Make sure that Menard doesn't pull away. 48.815, fastest lap of the race that last time. Menard's so high in the middle of the corner though that he's not drafting off the cars. Johnson not able to run that high on the racetrack though, and he almost lost Menard. He might actually lose him because now Menard's getting a draft on the backstretch. This is very, very close for Jimmy Johnson. He's got to run getting into turns 3 and 4, and he barely is going to stay with Paul Menard. It's close. I don't think Menard's going to budge off the outside, so as Jimmy gets a run into the tri-oval, he's going to make a move to the bottom. The two cars went to the inside. Clean pass there to get by that driver. Now to the inside of the 16 of Biffle, who is a lap down, as well as the 103. So the top two are nose to tail and drafting away from the field. Tandeming themselves basically away from the field, as Johnson is trying to do with this lap car, the 103, to catch the leaders now. And there's a push. Hey, I'm not giving up at this. I want to win this so bad. We don't win on super speedways too much. In any game anymore, it feels like, but especially in the EA games. I don't care if this is a truck, cup, Busch series, whatever season it is. Late in the season with the championship on the line, or early in the season like this. These wins are hard to come by in this style of racing in these older games. Specifically when you're doing a full race, it's not as hard when you're running shorter races. You can kind of tandem away from the field if you qualify well enough. You gotta give the fact that we did start at the tail end of the field today too. We have only led one green flag lap this whole race. And it was leading into those last green flag pit stops. Johnson pitted from the lead and then was in third on the restart. Lost a spot, and now he's back to third again. And now he's tandeming with the 103 car, trying to get to the top two. Not quite sure who's in second. If anybody saw who was in second on the restart, I'd like to know in the chat who that might have been. Still have to alternate through the different camera angles a couple more times in this race today. Still have one more driver swap yet too. Still 30 to go though. Getting down towards the end because we know, you know what? I would like to think we can make it in one stop, but at the same time, we're already halfway on fuel. I don't even know. It may be a fuel mileage race. The way things are looking all of a sudden. That is not good. I clipped the apron getting into the corner. I hope I don't lose this guy. Come on, come on. Stay in it. Stay in it. That's not good. Jimmy Johnson may have just lost the 103 car. Barely stayed in the draft off turn 4. But it definitely isn't by much. There's nobody behind him. Well, that didn't work. 3 seconds off the lead again. It was really tough to tell if I was even gaining ground with him. Johnson will have more help in a little bit. Might not have to wait long. I think that's Paul Menard in the 11, who he was working with earlier. That will be the next car closing in. Of course, Menard a lap down. It is. All right. He blew past me, though. I should have tried to block him for like a half a lap first. Biffle's closing in. I might be able to keep up with him still. Biffle stays behind me. I don't know that he wants to, though. Yeah, I'm too far away from him now. Gosh darn it. 3 wide. Okay, well. Not what I wanted to hear. Biffle slides up in front. Couple spots lost. 138 for position. Martin Truex Jr. was also a spot. And this is the struggle Biffle's been dealing with most of the day, is trying to keep up with these guys in the draft. Now he's going to have to try to draft off Mark Martin as he falls to 6th. And the story of the day right here. I thought I was done doing this. Robin Dunn, Santiago Kidd, and Derek Booth, welcome into the stream. Man, I can't even keep up with Mark Martin. I couldn't really pull him back in. And now Kenny Wallace is going to try to get to the inside. He's going to get blocked going into the corner. Slip the apron, trying to mirror drive a little too long. Kenny went up to mirror drive again, though, on Tony Stewart, so it actually worked out for him. Now Kenny Wallace going to get to the outside. Tony Stewart behind the 33. Or, Stewart's in the 33. Stewart behind the 48. I think Tony just made it 3 wide. Hold the lane in the middle. Hold the middle. Stewart's clear. Johnson may try to work with him. Still think Kenny Wallace is on the outside. Yeah, he's still on the outside. I can't move up. Yeah, there he is. Gosh darn it, Kenny. I don't even think he's on the lead lap either. I think Kenny Wallace is a lap down. They do have older tires, I think, right now, though. If I remember correctly. Took fuel only on that last stop. Johnson back to 10th. Got to be a fuel-only stop for Jimmy Johnson once again. He's 10 seconds off the lead. I don't think he's going to make up that much time. Right front's starting to go away on the 48, but he's got to try to get some of this track position back. We've had cautions in the middle of 3 green flag stops today. Will we have it again? If we do, it would be the 6th caution of the race. It would be the most that we've had in a race so far this season in any series. Johnson going to go one more lap. He's going to push it to lap 96. So that way he can hopefully try to make it on fuel to the finish after this. He'd have to go 21 laps to make it to the end of this race on fuel if he pits this time by. Which, I believe the very first run we went 21 laps, so to start the race. So we didn't get a caution until like lap or 2 after that. Johnson's got to run. He was barely able to stay with Newman, and the main reason is because Newman pulled out of line. Johnson to the inside of the 39, getting into turn 3, very tight into the corner. Clears him, but Jimmy knows he's going to pit this time. That's why he tried to pull out and make the pass on Newman like he did there, getting a little bit of a draft off the 9, and he's going to try to get into pit road with all he can. Not going to speed, though, as he gets down to the commitment line. He locked the tires up. That's all right. 4 tires and fuel for Jimmy Johnson. Final stop of the race. And a potential fuel mileage race today at Talladega. I think Johnson's the first on the pit road. That tells me they did not get the fuel tank full the last time. They had that mistake. I don't think they got it full. Probably could have went another lap or 2 if they did. Johnson will work his way back onto the racetrack. Now, with him being the first car to pit, if we get a caution again, he will be the leader. At least if it happened immediately, but I don't think it will because we've got other cars that have hit the commitment line that are on pit road on the lead lap. So now he needs it to stay green. Jimmy Johnson just absolutely hoping for the best here. It will have to stay green. He is going to have to block the leaders who are closing in fast. They may pit this time too. Who knows? Matt Kenseth and Kyle Busch are the two drivers. No surprise. No surprise for Busch, at least. Kenseth's going to stay out of the pits. I think Kyle Busch just came in. Yep, Busch came in. Johnson has to stay in front of the 17 in case we get a caution. We've seen in the middle of green flag stops a few times already today. Church Jr. in the number 8, down to the bottom. He's still trying to get the speed into turn 3. Johnson clears him. That's a spot. He's cycled ahead of everybody so far, except for Kenseth, obviously, that still has to pit. And there are cars that are trying to get up to speed right now in the back straightaway as well. Johnson going to let Martin Truex Jr. go. The hope is that he can stay in line behind him. And he needs to. No chance. No chance for Jimmy Johnson there. J.J. Yaley is leading. Can't tell who this is coming out of the pits right now. It's Mark Martin in the 6. Trying to get up to speed. That might be the best chance for Johnson to try to catch somebody. He couldn't quite get to the outside of Mark Martin as he was getting up to speed. But again, there's nobody behind Johnson to try to keep him with the cars in front of him. That is really where he's struggling right now. .138 car coming up from behind. Paul Menard, Greg Biffle down to the bottom. They're both a lap down. 138 got a clear. Johnson immediately pulls up. Yeah, I don't have anything for these guys. I mean, they're just trying to slow them down for a little bit, let them by me, and I just can't keep up. With nobody on the back bumper of the 48, I just can't stay in the draft behind some of these other cars. Johnson was 10th when he came to pit road. He'd be lucky if he gets a spot out of this. There's Mayfield. That's okay. Well, we got one spot. Just haven't had any drafting help this whole time, unfortunately. I think everybody's pitted. Yeah, Busch already pit. Johnson was like 10 seconds off the lead initially. I think Kyle Busch in the 5 has a good chance to win these first 2 super speedway races of the season. To the bottom. May run green to the end now. We'll take our final field pass of the race today when we get back to the start-finish line this time by. Johnson remains in 9th. Quite a few lap cars have gotten by him. Just trying to hold on for a top 10 finish at this point. I think it's doable. Come down to 15 laps to go. Hopefully taking this field pass, Jimmy Johnson can close back in on some of these other cars. We'll transfer back to the 57 of Brian Vickers. He is in 11th. He's the next spot behind Johnson. Lap car catching up to Jimmy right now. Bernie Lamar and Brian Vickers right there. Vickers going to try to sit behind the 76. Oh, that did not work. He wanted to sit behind him, and he about turned him into the wall instead. One car, oh, Menard, I think that, no, never mind, it wasn't Menard. Somebody just blew an engine, though, trying to get to pit road. That did not work. I was trying to draft behind Bernie Lamar. And instead, I about turned him. That was misjudged. That was pretty bad, honestly. I thought he was clear. I guess he wasn't. Vickers trying to get the momentum back. Bernie Lamar, a victim of Vickerism. Swap to Kyle Busch at the start-finish line this time by. Now Vickers is back to 13th. A lot of these cars that have passed him, though, have been a lap down. I remember Dale Jr. was one of those that got trapped a lap down earlier. I think Jeff Burt's a lap down also. Again, this could be a fuel mileage race today. This is about the only other thing that could come into play for the finish of this race. I don't think Jimmy Johnson's going to have a great shot of trying to make it. We will see. Kyle Busch has a pretty massive lead right now, all things considered. Two seconds out ahead of the field right now is Kyle Busch. Run with it for 2 laps. Kyle Busch trying to win the first 2 super speedway races of the year. Him and Johnson both will split the first 4 races if he goes to victory lane. Got another slow car in the back straightaway trying to get to pit road. I'd imagine that car's going to be able to get there. He's in turns 3 and 4 right now. It is Clint Boyer in the 2. That will fail to make it to the end of this race also. And one of the Roush cars have quickly caught Kyle Busch off of turn 4. And it is Matt Kenseth, the car that Busch was drafting with to get out ahead of the field. 1v1, 11 laps to go at the line. Got a little loose. Kenseth's not going to have any help trying to pass him, though. It's huge that Kyle Busch was able to cycle out in front of the 17 on pit road. I have to imagine those fresher tires were the big difference in Busch cycling out in front of the 17 of Kenseth and not. We'll swap back. Oh, a little contact between Busch and Kenseth now. And we will go to Jimmy Johnson the rest of this race. He hasn't quite caught the cars up in front of him, unfortunately. Busch leads. We're having tried to block. Half a tank of gas left for Johnson at this point in the run with 10 to go. Should be able to make it. If we get a caution, he's definitely staying out. Be able to save a little bit of extra gas. If we get a green-white checker finish, that is where it would be very interesting if we had to go past the scheduled distance for one restart, and whether these teams can make it on fuel. I'm still willing to risk it, honestly. Down to 9 laps left. Ryan Newman in the 39. Believe he's a lap down, so we're going to let him try to pass us, and then we can draft in line behind him. Mainly just to try to stay ahead of the rest of the cars. Oh, no, he was for position. Oh, no. Jimmy going to stay with him? I don't think he is. I thought he was a lap down. Oh, that might have just costed Johnson a top 10 finish. I don't know if he was going to hold on in front of him or not. Probably wasn't going to. You never know. That's a shame. I know Dale Jr.'s a lap down, and he's got to have a really fast car for DEI. Brian Vickers in the 57. Get to the inside now. I'm gonna have an alliance here with Vickers. Big run down on the inside right now. Brissett able to get by on the top. I have Vickers following me, so he shouldn't pass me. Trying to side draft Jeff Burton, it's not working. I'm hoping with Vickers behind me, it should allow me to stay with these. Yeah, okay, so that was the plan, finally. I just needed a teammate. I didn't want to drop Kyle Busch out of the lead all the way back to me. By the time he would have gotten there, the race would have been about over anyway. Alright. I'm not giving up on this top 10 yet. Vickers is going to stay behind Johnson to the very end. So this is going to help Jimmy have a little bit of a boost to try to help stay with these guys on very old tires. He went fuel only the last 2 stops. Try to get some track position back. He got a little bit of it back, but not enough, obviously. Don't know if they're going to catch Ryan Newman. Definitely not going to give it up, though. We got 3-car tandem working. 3 cars are faster than 2, which are faster than 1, so... to hope this 116 doesn't pull away. Oh. He might. Yeah, it's tough. That is tough. Vickers going to stay behind. Back straight away. Dale Jr. pulled to the bottom. That's who the 116's drafted off right now. He was drafting off Brissett on the inside the last quarter. Get by Brissett for position. Oh! 116 checked up. Johnson leaning. He's trying to get to 11th. Vickers pulls him back in. Johnson cleared the 116 getting into the corner. Now he's drafted behind Dale Jr. Brian Vickers with him. They may catch Ryan Newman. Johnson's got a shot to get in the top 10. Thank goodness our teammate was one of the cars that were closing in behind us. Oh, Dale trying to break the draft. Don't do that, Dale. Oh, caution is out late in this one. Well, that changes everything. I don't know if this is going to end the race or not, but caution is out with 4 to go. We have a crash, a near flip. I thought that car was going over. 163. It looked like he blew a right front. The way the car just went up the hill, slammed the wall. The 131 car has crashed, bringing out our 6th yellow of the day, most we've had in a race this season and on this game in the channel. Johnson going to stay out. And I'm not sure. Looks like Busch will be the leader here. Who knows? Dash for cash here. Unless this is the checker. It is not. Green-white checker. Johnson caught Ryan Newman. He's not going to have a chance to win. He's trying to crowd the 9, though, of Jeremy Mayfield. Oh, there goes Vickers. Come on, Vickers. Jimmy trying to get a draft off the 57. Oh, my goodness. 3 wide. Jimmy's on older tires. He's just trying to get a top 10. He actually lost some spots on the restart. Mark Martin to the lead. I don't know what position he was in. White flag in the air, 1 lap to go. With this green-white checkered finish, is everybody going to be able to make it on fuel to the end of the race, too? Ryan Newman right on the back of this 48. I think there's a chance that he's going to be able to keep up with Boris Said. Gets by Vickers for 11th. Said is the 10th place car. Vickers is now behind the 48. He's pushing him. Trying to get him to the 9. Can these guys make it on fuel? Off of turn 4. Fuel mileage race at Talladega with going past the scheduled distance in a green-white checker. Mark Martin through the tri-oval is going to win. Jimmy Johnson's closing on Boris Said, but he's not going to get there in time. Just outside the top 10. We restarted 11th. We finished 11th. We made it on fuel. Mark Martin wins the race. Kyle Busch, who was leading when the caution flag came out, was between him and Kenseth. They finished 3rd and 6th. Martin gets his first win in the Busch Series season. Breaks the Hendrick streak to start the year of 3 in a row. Dang. I fought hard. I knew that those guys were going to pull away from us at some point in time, so I was just trying to lean on Said initially there, and he still ended up beating us. Man. Wild race. Even with the green-white checker. 3 laps led for Mark Martin today, including the last 2, and I think he led 1 lap during green flag pit stops, and that was it. 34 lead changes, quite a bit. 6 cautions. 10th of a second margin of victory. 2 hours, 19 minutes, 14 seconds total time in this race. Average speed of 134.1 miles per hour. J.J. Yaley finished 2nd. Kyle Busch led the most laps today. 50 laps led. Started 21st, finished 3rd. Tony Stewart led 23 laps. He also had a really fast car. Qualified on the pole for the 2nd time this season. And ends up finishing in 4th. Smith ends up rounding out the top 5. Matt Kenseth finished in 6th. Had a good car today as well. Mark Truex Jr. 7th. Kenny Wallace 8th, Jeremy Mayfield 9th, Boris Said finishes 10th. Man, 11th, just outside top 10. 5 laps led. Only one of those was a green flag lap, though. But 5 bonus points nonetheless. Brian Vickers didn't lead any laps. He finishes 13th. See you all DNF'd in this first race. Aaron Crocker blew an engine. Rogers blew an engine. Clint Boyer blew an engine. Danny O'Quinn Jr. 1 lap down but finished. So only 3 DNFs here today at Talladega. No big one in this race, but we did have 6 caution flags, 2 of them for debris. Man, we gave it our all. We still have one more race at Bristol. I had a borderline top 10 car, and I ended up finishing borderline top 10. So, I mean, indicative of where we should have finished. We'll check out the point standings. Sharpie Mini 300 at Bristol will be the next race. Daytime race, 300 laps there. I'll update the point standings at the top of the screen as well. I noticed Stewart had a pole in that race, so he has 2 on the year. Tony Stewart keeps putting himself at the front of the field here for these races. You'd have to imagine he's going to end up winning one at some point in time. Kyle Busch did not win this race. Mark Martin did. So Mark Martin gets the dub. Came in 10th in points too. Big win for Mark. And we'll check the point standings out. Kyle Busch back in the points lead. Sadler was leading coming into the day. Kyle Busch out in front. We were 6th in points coming in. We had a lot of drivers that finished ahead of us, though, that were already ahead of us in points. I would imagine that I probably lost some spots. Sadler lost 3 spots in points. He got in that wreck earlier, though, and had a lot of damage from it. Surprised he didn't shed debris, because he had a lot of damage that was... His deck lid was flapping. His hood was a little crinkled. Never lost his hood. I definitely lost at least 1 spot because I was 6th. Yeah, we lost 1 spot in points. I was 76 back going into this race. Now I'm 107 back. These super speedways, man. How did I win the Daytona 500? Like, how did I win the... How did I win the Daytona 500 in this game? It almost feels like the super speedway racing is even harder in this game than what it was in the other EA games that we've already played. Alright, top 10 of the point standings are updated. Try to get those points back at Bristol. Be nice if we can get our 3rd win of the season. I will practice, by the way. Gonna practice and qualify for this race. 13.3 average finish coming in. So Mark Martin. And we won the first 3 races for Martin in the Busch series too, or in the Cup Series season. I've led at least 1 lap every race, though. 2 laps at Daytona, 17 at Charlotte, 1, 39 at Darlington, and 1, and then 5 laps at Talladega. I'm not leading a lot of laps, but I'm leading some laps. I mean, 63 laps led in the first 4 races is still pretty good, all things considered. Alrighty. Give me grip. Lord knows I'm gonna need it. I mean, we won the truck race at Bristol, so I'd imagine I could win this Busch Series race. I don't know if I would have had a better chance of finishing in the top 10 if it went green to the end, trying to catch Ryan Newman for it, because we were definitely closing in with Dale Jr. and Brian Vickers, you know, helping me in the draft. Jr. in front of me, Vickers behind me pushing. It's tough. It's really tough to tell. Alright. Enough of that, though. Enough crying about finishing 11th at Talladega. We're going to make up for it here in Bristol. Hopefully, get Jimmy Johnson in victory lane. I love Bristol. Got a lot of Bristol on the channel this week. Got the Throwback Thursday stream. Live commentary for the truck and the Cup Series on Saturday, Sunday as well. I'm planning on doing a NASCAR 22 Bristol dirt race as well. That happens to be the next race of the custom schedule season, so that's why I'm waiting on NASCAR 22 till the end of the week this week. And have Bristol for our next Cup race of NASCAR 07. And tonight, the Busch Series. So only one night this week out of the 7, we will not have any Bristol content. That will be Wednesday night. Truck Series doubleheader. I don't have any races at Bristol. It was a little tight, but it's not bad. Tried taking a half round of wedge out of it. Try to go from there. I'll pit next time by. Take a half round of wedge out. Just can't really get to the bottom. It's more tight on the entrance to the corner. It's fine middle off. Just a little tight getting in. There we go. Yeah, Bristol's my favorite track. Talladega is fun in person. That is becoming very close to my second favorite track. Not because of the fans there. Sorry for anybody that goes to Talladega on a yearly basis. I'm a Talladega fan too, but I'm just saying I've heard some stuff in the stands about, you know, people wrecking and like, oh my gosh, he just morphed right through us. Jimmy, okay? You okay, Jimmy? But like Jordan Anderson catching on fire in the middle of the truck race last year and literally was in a ball of flame, got out of his truck as it was moving. It was scary. Like there was some gas from the crowd. Like it was a scary moment. And then this one guy, like literally, like as he's laying on the ground, like, oh, that was better than a wreck. I'm like, what an idiot! Like, why would you say that? The stuff like that, like those are like just stupid things that I come across, and I don't hear that when I go to any other races, but when I go to Talladega, I also heard something like that when I went to Atlanta. Something, not in that exact moment, but when I went to Atlanta, and that's a super speedway now too, so maybe it's just, you know, fans at super speedway races, honestly. Car's a little better. Definitely rolls in fine. I just got to get used to it like that. I don't need much practice. I think running the truck race here, I feel pretty confident, honestly, with the racetrack. Yeah, the guy at Atlanta, by the way, too, that was, I ripped on without giving, why I ripped on him. He was saying, he was sitting, I want to say behind me, either behind me or beside me, I can't remember exactly. But, I remember him, like, saying something about, like, oh, this race is pretty boring right now, and I thought it was a really good race up to that point. He's like, we need a big wreck. He sounded serious, too. I don't think he was joking. Oh, little bobble by Johnson in 3 and 4. It might have costed him the pole. It was a good lap. It'll be a top 10 qualifying effort, 9th. I had a chance at a top 5 at least, but I kind of clipped the apron in the middle of turns 3 and 4. Ryan Newman going to be on the pole for the second time this season. So Newman and Stewart both have 2 poles right now. And we'll get on with our second race of the night. Mark Martin starting last after winning our first race at Talladega, by the way, as well. Green flag back in the air. Green flag is in the air. Race 2 of our doubleheader underway. Race at Bristol, baby. 300 laps. Sharpie Mini 300. Hornaday's flirting with the inside of Jimmy Johnson. I don't want to pull down in front of him. I'm getting a good drive off. There we go. Now we got him. We're driving it a little deeper. Trying to get in front of Hornaday. I didn't like how he was just hanging on my corner panel like that. Into the back of Greg Biffle now. Biffle to the inside of Truex. And Ryan Newman about to be passed at the front of the field. Jimmy overdrove the corner that time, got into Kurt Busch. And Busch got into the outside wall. Not used to racing around cars yet. Newman freight train on the outside. Kyle Busch to second, but Tony Stewart leading in the early going. He's led a ton of laps already this Busch Series season, including a little over 20 laps led at Talladega earlier today after starting on the pole in that race. 2 spots gained from the start so far for Jimmy Johnson. It's like Matt Kenseth is in second as he just passed Kyle Busch, and now Kenseth's going for the lead on Stewart off of turn 4. Up into the wall went Johnson. That hurt him in the next corner. I assume this is going to be a 2-stop race today. As it gets by the 192, that's nothing but Cup regulars in the top 6. Newman trying to get back into second place. And Kyle Busch. Slide job on Kyle Busch, pass clear. Jimmy Johnson completes it. Kyle back underneath him. Jimmy lifts. Still got into the outside wall even with lifting. Tried to get out and let Busch just take that crossover and still got the wall anyway. Car's still a little tight. Have to make an adjustment. Unless it frees up over the course of the long run, which could be the case. So have to wait and see. Just 14 laps in. It's already more laps into a run than what we practiced, obviously, as you saw. I just hope it doesn't get tighter and tighter over the course of the run. That would not be good. Jimmy just ran his fastest lap. Closes on Tony Stewart for 4th. Gonna look low. Just beat Tony to the inside. Clears him off turn 4. A lot of different manufacturers here up at the front. You got Ford followed by a Dodge and then 3 Chevys behind and then another Ford. Another fastest lap, that last lap for JJ. Kyle Busch underneath Newman for 2nd. Johnson wants to follow his teammate to get to 3rd as he gets to the inside of Ryan Newman now. And makes the pass. Leader's going to get to lap traffic pretty soon. Oh, you're talking about your tail? Yeah. They get kind of absurd there. A lot of stuff. It's ruthless. Johnson clears Matt Kenseth for 2nd place. There's a little bit of contact there with it, but part of it, short track racing. Hendrick Motorsports 1-2 at the front of the field. Finally didn't win a race, but it took to a superspeedway. It took a green-white checker that costed Busch a shot to win in the late going and maybe costed Johnson a top 10. It was between Busch and Kenseth until that caution came out with 4 to go, setting up the green-white checker. Johnson going to be patient here. Sit right behind his teammate in a good spot. Started 9th, got the 2nd. About 26 laps. Not sure exactly where Kyle Busch started, but he's passed a few cars already, obviously, to get to the lead as well. Jimmy in no rush. A lot of racing to go. Honestly, willing to just kind of follow Busch up through the lap traffic right now. And these two just continuing to dominate the season, really. One car on pit road that blew an engine moments ago. Not sure who it is, but there's one car out of the race already. Johnson really not able to close within this close of Kyle Busch either, though. Still running 15.4s. Contact with the 138. Johnson was trying to make the pass. So that's another thing too. He's gonna have to get through this lap traffic cleanly. A little bit of contact. You see Kyle Busch already kind of pulled away just a little bit. Maybe it wasn't such a good thing to sit behind him. Oh, we got another car blowing up. Had 3 engine failures at Talladega. and already 2 in the first 37 out of 300 laps at Bristol. Bernie Lamar on a lap down. Jimmy Johnson to the inside of the 77, and now the 11. Oh boy. His contact with Menard. Menard didn't go all the way up to the wall, though, like I was thinking he was going to. He kind of held the middle lane off the exit of the corner, and as Johnson was about to have his car feed up a little bit higher, Menard just didn't go up there. So contact was made. No more lap cars between the top 2. Maybe a chance for Johnson to try to close that gap again on Busch. About 108 laps in the truck race on fuel here, so I'd probably lean towards this being a 2-stop race today. Who knows? Maybe they can somehow make it 150 laps in a row. And we'll know once Johnson gets to the halfway mark on fuel. If he can get to lap 75 before he gets the halfway out of fuel indication from his crew chief, then there is a possibility of making this race in just 1 stop. Well, never mind. We're halfway. I don't even think we can go 100 laps. What's with the Busch series in this game having not as long of a fuel window? This is odd. Well, now it's looking like it's going to be a 3-stop race. I was thinking it was going to be a 1-stopper, and now it's looking more like 3. Makes things even more interesting. I mean, the atmosphere itself at Talladega, it is awesome. It's just some of the fans there can be a little diluted, I guess. Intoxicated, I guess, is a good way of putting it. Under the influence. I'm not one for, like, the party atmosphere. I go there to watch the race. That's just me. I'll call him flamboyant. That's probably a good way of putting it. Very flamboyant. It's as close as Johnson's been to the back bumper of Kyle Busch this whole race. So it's getting into that 2nd place position. It makes the call to pit if we get a caution a lot easier for Jimmy Johnson, knowing that this is potentially a 3-stop race. You don't want to have to make green flag pit stops, but there's a likelihood that that could happen, obviously, as we aren't too far away from it happening. Checking up a little bit. I think Busch got into the back of the lap car in the outside lane in front of him. And he got into him again. I think it might be Kevin Harvick, potentially. No, it's a fantasy driver, my bad. Busch was aggressive, trying to get by him. John Andretti, number 10, going a lap down, the Camping World car. let's remind you that these are the same Talladega fans that were throwing stuff on the track when Dale Jr. Didn't win, or I should say when Jeff Gordon won the 2005 race. I mean, they just get stupid. We saw that with Michael Waltrip in 02 in the Summer Daytona race also. Something about super speedway racing fans, man. Not all of them. I don't want to like stereotype that all of them are like that. I'm a super speedway racing fan. I mean, I go to them a lot. They're exciting. They don't always bring like the best fans to those races, unfortunately. They're there for crashes, they're there for carnage, and they're there for their favorite driver to win, bar none. If that doesn't happen, God forbid, you know, a guy like Kyle Busch or Bubba Wallace or Joey Logano win, all hell's raising. I mean, I've seen them all win in person before. I know what it looks like on one side versus the other. I will say with Kyle Busch, nowadays it probably isn't as bad because he's not in a Toyota anymore. I will say though, when Bubba Wallace won at Kansas, it actually wasn't that bad. I've been to a couple Logano wins though, so that's... I can definitely tell you that man does get booed. I haven't been to a NASCAR race since Busch has driven for RCR this year, because I haven't been to a race this year, so I'm curious to see driver intros, you know, what the boos versus the cheers are like in person now. So he was one of the loudest there for pretty much every race I went to for the most part. We are getting pretty close to green flag pit stops in this race. Can't be too far away. Just over 20 laps. Got a quarter tank of gas left this point in the run. Making a little bit of contact with the lap car. Nobody has been able to keep up with the pace that Kyle Busch and Jimmy Johnson, and even Johnson's having some troubles trying to keep up with Kyle Busch in this one. Kyle getting through the lap traffic just a little bit better than the 48, although Dale Jr. got to the inside of Kyle Busch trying to get his lap back here, and Johnson able to close the gap to Kyle. But now it looks like Kurt Busch going to get to the inside of the 48 car. That holds Johnson up just enough. Jimmy back to the bottom, but Busch also gets back to the inside as he crosses Dale Jr. over to put Jr. a lap down again. A lot of cars a lap down. 71 laps, green flag to start tonight's race. We have not had a caution-free race in this game in any series. That is worth noting. Had 4 yellows in the Truck Series race here in a 200-lap event. Already saw a couple of them by this point in that race. Take our first field passes. We're getting close to green flag pit stops. We will go to Brian Vickers in the 57 car first. Vickers is in the 11th place position right now. Just bounced off the wall off turn 4 up on that outside groove. Trying to hold his lane. Finally got to the bottom. Big cut to get to the inside. And he will get back to 11th, getting right back by the 135 car through turns 3 and 4. Vickers is 14 seconds off the lead. There's a couple spots behind Johnson at Talladega, 13th. Vickers and Johnson just didn't quite have the car that Kyle Busch had, which was a race-winning car. Fortunately, Busch, despite leading 50 of 117 laps that race, was not able to get the win. Back to Kyle Busch we go now. He's gapped Jimmy Johnson just a little bit. Gotten through the last couple lap cars. It's primarily pull from Johnson just a bit more. $80 laps complete this time by. Maybe 10 or less laps away from green flag pit stops. We will transfer back to Jimmy Johnson at the start-finish line. About 7/10 of a second behind Busch. Ron Hornaday in the 33. Lap down, the 135 car just blew an engine. He was battling Vickers for 11th. Had a good run at Talladega, too. I don't think he ended up getting the top 10, but he was in the top 5 for a large portion of that race. Busch now to the inside of Hornaday. Pretty low on fuel here for Jimmy Johnson. Jimmy definitely going to have to pit before everybody else. Oh, there's contact. 106. Going to pit at lap 89. Jimmy Johnson will pit at lap 89. Haven't seen anybody make a scheduled pit stop yet. This is going to be dangerous for Johnson to short pit, but he's going to have to do it so he doesn't run out of fuel. In the predicament he's in right now. We'll get to the inside of Aaron Crocker. The 98. Sits behind Kyle Busch for right now, but he is not going to be able to lead this upcoming lap because he'll be on pit road. He's pitted on the front stretch, as you saw in practice when Johnson made a stop there. Good thing he made a practice green flag stop. He's on his way in right now. It'll be 4 tires and fuel and no adjustments for the 48 car. What's Miami 2022? Favorite driver one. Awesome, man. Yeah, that was Larson last year. So Jimmy Johnson was the first driver onto pit road. I did not mean to pull up. Trying to get up to speed right now. He's got fresher tires than everybody else. Going to try to take advantage. He's 1 lap down to 36th. Needs to have everybody else hit pit road. There aren't many cars on the lead lap because Kyle Busch has ran an incredible pace to start this race. The problem is, though, is if the rest of the field can make it 100 laps, Then we're looking at everybody else having to pit twice in this one. Johnson will have to pit 3 times. That's guaranteed. That is where trouble can lie for Jimmie Johnson if this somehow goes caution-free all the way to the end. You'd hate to see that happen, but it looks like it could be possible. I think he's got a good chance of cycling to the lead, though, through the green flag stops, considering how early he pitted. To have 90 lap fresher tires versus the rest of the field, he's definitely making the most of it right now. He was within a half a second of Busch. If we get a caution, he is in trouble. He's going to need a caution, but he needs everything to cycle through first. Underneath Menard. Passes him. We'll bump and run to Greg Biffle. We are at lap 100, so it is definitely a 2-stop race for the rest of the field. Johnson will be able to go quite a ways before he hits pit road. For the second time. These passes have been for position. Kenny Wallace putting the bumper to Ryan Newman, moving him up the racetrack. And they still have not pitted. This is scaring me, honestly. I mean, we're already looking at them having to pit twice versus Johnson 3 times in the race today. I wasn't even pushing like 100%. I mean, I was probably like 80 to 90%. If I had to guess, we were in second behind Busch. There were chances I might have had an opportunity to pass him, but I wasn't really risking anything in the early going. So it's crazy to me that we're that much shorter of fuel than everybody else. At least Talladega, everybody was pitting at the same time, but not here at Bristol. Gets by Boyer and Danny O'Quinn Jr. both put Johnson ahead a couple more positions, now to 28th. 37's a lap down, Jimmy to 27th. He was in 36 when he first came out of the pits. And he was not that far in front of Kyle Busch, too. It's like maybe 3 or 4 lap cars between them. He's already put almost a half a lap on him with these 90 lap fresher tires. Problem is, though, at Bristol, you lose almost 2 laps during green flag pit stops, as you saw. I mean, he cycled barely in front of Busch. He was barely behind him when he pitted. So he'd have to make up that much time with pitting 1 less lap in this race. And he's going to be on older tires once everybody else pits, because we've gone quite a ways afterwards. He may struggle once they all pit. And the longer they stay out, the better it is for him for now. It is not looking good. for Jimmy Johnson in this one. Oh, I would still pick Michigan to win the championship. Michigan, Boston, like Michigan, Boston University, Minnesota, Clinton. Oh, okay, gotcha. I mean, yeah, I would still go for Michigan. But they're not my alma mater, but they're my favorite college, football team, basketball team. So. I mean, I have a Dylan Larkin Michigan jersey for a reason, I guess. I'd roll with the maize and blue. Bump and run to get by Case Mears Johnson. Definitely has been pushing harder now than what he has this whole race. Block thrown by Jeff Burton in front of him. Johnson gets to the inside of the 21. Just ran his fastest lap, 15.284, and that's even with all the heavy traffic around him. He's already gotten himself inside the top 20. Big dive bomb getting into the first turn. Gave up a lot in the middle of the corner, but he was still able to get underneath Kevin Harvick. A slide job to clear the 29 going into turns 1 and 2 that time. Didn't Quinnipiac... I mean, all those teams are tough. I feel like a lot of the same schools are in the Frozen Four almost every year. Junior in. Brian Vickers is already on pit road. Jimmy Johnson's up to 14th. Kyle Busch still on the racetrack. Dominating the lap sled category in this one. Caution. That is not what Johnson needed. He is going to be trapped a lap down. He was in 12th. John Andretti and J.J. Yaley get together. Andretti was trying to get into the pits. It looked like on the back stretches, J.J. Yaley was leaving the front stretch pit lane, and the yellow flag is out. So Johnson's going to hit pit road here because the chances of him being able to make it on fuel just one more pit stop after this should be the case. So he'll top off on fuel. We'll take 4 fresh Goodyears again. But unfortunately, he is in a situation where he is going to be stuck a lap down. He's going to need to get into the free pass spots. Our first caution of the race, I think, what, lap 112 is when it came out? Maybe just after that. Might have been a little further into the race than that. Kyle Busch going to be the leader on the restart. Johnson a lap down. 24th is where he is at. Green flag back in the air. Lap 127 at Bristol. We've got cars pitting immediately after the restart. So they did not pit during the caution, which will help Jimmy Johnson. He may get back to the lead lap anyway. I don't know why they didn't pit. This is a weird race today, let me tell you. Both of them are, really. They may still all cycle through. I guess that caution is going to help Johnson if that is the case. Still a lap down, obviously. Kyle Busch still on the racetrack. Oh my gosh. They were very slow getting up to speed. Johnson up into the wall. This car's okay, though. Oh my goodness. They're very slow trying to get up to speed. Johnson at 6. Tony Stewart leads. I think Busch just pitted. It's like NASCAR 22 when they come out of the pits very slow like that. Some of the tracks. Johnson to 3rd. He's still a lap down, obviously. Tony Stewart out in front. Up to 2nd, Tony Stewart, the only driver to hit pit road. Unless he was on pit road when the caution flag came out and was still on the lead lap, then that would hurt everybody except for him. Johnson would have even tires with him because of pitting during the caution. So Jimmy's up to 2nd. If Tony Stewart doesn't have to pit, he's in prime position to win this race. Again, everybody will have to pit one more time. I think Johnson can make it on field just pitting one more. He's a long ways off the race lead. And it sounds like Stewart's on his way in, so he went a lot longer. He's not quite going to make it to lap 150, so everybody will have to pit one more time in the race today. Johnson going to have to pit well before him, though, obviously, just like he did. I have to just hope we stay green next time. But I believe he'll luck out, and Jimmy Johnson will be the race leader at the start-finish line. So it'll be 5 bonus points for Johnson. He'll lead his first lap of the day. After being a lap down, just ran his fastest lap as well, 15.229. So Johnson out in front. He has now led a lap in each of the first 5 races this season. And trying to go for his 3rd win already in the first 5 races as well. Half a second out ahead. Somebody, I'm not sure who. Maybe John Andretti's in 2nd? Even though Andretti and Yaley were the reason for the caution. Restarted at lap 127. Probably looking at pitting. If we go 89 laps again. Even if we don't count the caution laps in there, we should be able to make it. We're definitely going to have to push it as far as we can on fuel, but I think we'll be able to make it. So thankful nobody else pitted during the caution. For Jimmy Johnson to get back to the race lead. I'm glad I pitted too. Great call. Is Chad Canals crew chief and Jimmy Johnson in the Busch series at this time too, or was it somebody else? I'd imagine it's probably somebody else. Like all those years that Busch ran the Xfinity Series for Joe Gibbs Racing, I don't think Adam Stevens was crew chiefing him the whole time. Maybe at times he did, but I doubt he did the entire time. He probably solely focused on the Cup stuff. Johnson crowded by Jeff Burton. 7/10 of a second lead for Jimmy Johnson in the 48. Not by much, whoever's in 2nd. That may be the driver we're going to have to watch, because obviously Johnson will end up going a lap down when he pits early again. We don't know exactly how many cars are on the lead lap as we run. All the time Johnson was making up. Tough to say. We are halfway through this race, 150 laps complete, another 150 still to go. First short track race of the Busch Series season. Had a lot of them in the Truck Series already. 2 in the first 3 at least. I'll have to have one in the Cup side at Bristol tomorrow night on the channel as well for NASCAR 07. 1 second lead now for JJ. Lead's starting to shrink again. Jimmy Johnson kind of stuck behind the 8 of Martin Truex Jr. for a little while. Greg Biffle in front of the 8 car as well. Everybody changing positions for right now. Johnson running it Indy 500 and 600 in the same day this year. I know Larson's supposed to do it, I guess, next year and the year after, 2024 and 2025. It'd be cool to see Jimmy do it this year. Just a 0.6 of a second lead. I think that's Kenny Wallace, who was in second place in the 22 car, kind of running down Jimmy Johnson during this green flag run. Johnson's just kind of stuck right now in traffic behind Martin Truex Jr. and Greg Biffle. He can't really get a run to get underneath either one of these guys. And as a result, Kenny Wallace is closing in. Wallace also in the lead lap. There must have been at least a few cars that pitted during the caution. Wallace is one of them. He is definitely closing the gap right now. Down to 0.4 of a second. halfway out of fuel at this point in the run. And it might even be borderline for Johnson to make it on one more stop. That's pretty cool. I'm interested to see how we'll do. Haven't seen him on 1.5 miles in the next-gen car yet. Kenny Wallace to the inside of Jimmy Johnson. And he's going to take the lead away from Jimmy. Johnson trying to fight for it on the outside, but he can't hold on. Unbelievable. Kenny Wallace to the lead at Bristol. Just past 7 time. And we've got a Busch Series regular trying to win all the Cup guys. We haven't seen that yet this season. He gets by Truex. That's going to open the door up for Johnson to get by. Johnson's in the wall with the 8. He overdrove the corner. Now he's really going to lose the 22. That wasn't great at all. Unbelievable. Johnson overdrove the corner trying to get by the 8 of Truex, who he's been stuck behind for a very long time. Kenny Wallace is now out to a 2-second lead. I don't even know if Johnson's got the car to try to run him down anymore. Johnson finally gets underneath of Martin Truex Jr. and passes the 8 car. Where did Kenny Wallace even come from in this race? He has been nowhere near the front most of the day, or at least that I've noticed. Obviously, he's having a good run, though. He's giving it his all. Johnson's pushing as hard as he can right now, trying to catch right back up to that 22. Gets underneath Biffle finally, and Kenny Wallace has been stuck behind Boris Said for a little while now, and that's why Johnson started to reel him back in again. Legend difficulty on Heat 4. Doesn't the AI go by like a number system in the Heat games though? It'd be like 105. Kenny Wallace got by Boris Said after a little bit, but he's still stuck behind Kevin Harvick, and I think Dale Jr. is the next car in front of him. Johnson now within 0.4 of a second of the lead. He's going to have to get by Boris Said to get to Kenny Wallace. But he has definitely closed that gap back down again, though. Johnson clears Said off turn 2. He has caught Kenny Wallace. Bobble there from the 48 getting into turn 1. At least he was able to catch back up to him again. It's going to be tough to catch Kyle Busch for the most laps led in this one anyway. He's led over 100 laps today. Look exactly where he cycled after those green flag pit stops. definitely not in the lead. Johnson maybe into the back of Kenny a little bit off turn 2 to push the 22 a little bit further out ahead. He'll get by the lap car now. That isn't Dale Jr., by the way. It's one of the fantasy drivers. From behind, it looked like it could have been an Oreo's car, but it was not. Oh, that's right. Yeah, career mode was a little different. That's right. Quarter tank of gas left. This point in the run. Kenny Walls gives Kevin Harvick the boot. We'll alternate through the different camera angles for the first time in the race today. Johnson trying to keep up with the 22. We know the 48 car will be the first onto pit road. We are not that far away from him having to hit pit road for that scheduled stop. I could see maybe 20 more laps at the most. That'd be about it. Definitely has to get to 89 laps to go. We're getting closer to that point. A lot of lap traffic right now in front of these two leaders. No clue who is in third, how far behind the 48 and the 22 they are. You'd have to imagine somewhere on the track that they are catching up, because Kenny Walls and Jimmy Johnson are going to be going nowhere. Johnson going to be on pressure tires, or almost 90 lap pressure tires once he pits here soon. But he's going to have to hope everything cycles through, because last time they didn't cycle through. We had our first caution in the middle of green flag stops. Jimmy went a lap down, but then everybody didn't pit under the caution. Some of them did, but most of them that did were a lap down anyway. A loose moment there for Johnson getting into turns 1 and 2. $100 laps to go, this time by Bristol. Kenny Wallace leading the way. Really like that AutoZone paint scheme for Kenny. There is 100 to go. Johnson has to run this out. He has got to take this thing to 89 laps to go, because he will not be able to make it on fuel if he has to go a little bit more than that. I mean, he may make it on fuel, but I don't know. He'll be pushing it for sure. He pitted during the last caution. There wasn't really anything else he could have done differently in the situation he's in right now. And once he got back behind Kenny Walls, he hasn't been pushing too hard trying to get around him, knowing the fuel situation for himself. Lap traffic is the only real thing keeping the battle tight right now between Wallace and Johnson, because Jimmy just doesn't really have the pace the 22 car has right now. Kyle Busch at the tail end of the lead lap. He's really falling off. Johnson can kind of run it until it's dry, honestly. It's only a half-mile track. He'll be able to get all the way back around, even if he has to go the full lap. It'll cost him a lot, but it'll be his best chance of being able to make it on fuel to the very end, at least. 92 laps left at the line. He's got to go about 2 to 3 more laps yet. Another mile to a mile and a half on fuel. Right front tire really starting to fade as well. We get to stay out this time. There we go. 89 laps to go. Johnson will pit this time by. He'll have 88 laps left when he cycles off. Should be able to make it to the end with this stop. Needs this to stay green to the end for everybody else to have to pit under green as well. No adjustments, 4 tires and fuel for the 48. This is the money stop. Here we go. Johnson getting up to speed. He is in 11th. And he is 1 lap down. Cycled just in front of Kenny Wallace. He now has about a little over 90 lap fresher tires. It's going to be a while for everybody else pits. He just needs this to stay clean to the end. Oh, they didn't get the tank full. Oh my goodness, are you kidding me? Oh my. They did not get the fuel tank full. And Johnson's going to end up having to pit again anyway. They only got it half full. That is unbelievable. Oh, 3 wide, a little bit of contact off the exit of the corner. Cleared Stewart and Earnhardt. I think Stewart was for position. Johnson now up to 10th. We still got a shot at a top 10 again, but God bless America. Why doesn't it just give me the option in this game to take a full tank when you come down on the pit road at the end of a green flag run? Like, I don't understand why it did that. And yeah, we did not get the tank full. Higher than gas man, yeah. They put 1 can in it. Where was the other can? Yeah, we're definitely not going to make it to the end. It was going to be borderline before. We're going to be like 40 to 45 laps short. Problem is, we're a lap down. So we can't really hope for a caution right now. We're going to get trapped. I mean, at least we'll make it on fuel, but I don't know. I have 1 yellow today. Gonna need a second one. Topsy-turvy race, to say the least. I mean, there's a chance Johnson could be in the free pass position. I doubt it, considering how many lap cars there are between himself and race leader Kenny Wallace right now, but if we were to get a yellow while we're a lap down, we'd have to hope we're in the free pass position. I just don't think that's the case. Went over 120 laps in this race before we got our first caution. This green flag run has gone 97 laps to this point right now. 98 now at the line. We Samir's a lap down. Johnson giving the boot to the 17 of Matt Kenseth here. Dives underneath him, really trying to pass him. Johnson getting held up. Not for position either. I think Kenseth's a lead lap car still. He was on the lead lap earlier. He still may be. Considering that pass wasn't for position either. Got into his teammate, Brian Vickers. And up to 9th. Every time I make contact with a teammate in a game, it reminds me of the Richmond finish from, I think it was 2015. When, or no, it was 2016 where Carl Edwards moved Kyle Busch out of the way. It might have been 2015 or 2016. I think it was 2016, though. When Edwards moved Busch out of the way to win on the last lap, last corner, a little bump and run, and Darrell Waltron's like, that's a teammate. "65 laps to go at Bristol." Johnson going to get by Harvick for 8th. No point of taking tires if we stay green to the end of this race. We do have to make another stop. About a quarter tank of gas left. I mean, we might end up hitting with the rest of the field, honestly. It's going to be tight. Mark Martin could be for position. He is. Johnson to 7th. Every car he passes for position could get him closer and closer to being in the free pass spot if we saw a caution. That part is we're not really going to know until the restart. So, I mean, yeah, we can still get a top 10. We're just not going to have a shot at the win. We're lucky that there's a lot of cars a lap down with having long green flag runs in this race. And I might be able to get more spots going fuel only, too. I'm going to pause it again so I can set my pit options and give myself a chance to go fuel only. So, because we'll be close to the end, we can get away with just going half a tank to the finish then. So just one can. Oh. Messed my rhythm up by pausing it and I made contact. 112. Sounds like we've got some cars pitting this time. Our only caution was in the middle of green flag stops last time. Kind of the moment of truth here. Kenny Wallace is the first to pit, too, so this will get Jimmy Johnson back on the lead lap. Looks like Matt Kenseth is out in front now. So Kenny Wallace was the first to pit. Johnson is on the lead lap if we got a caution in this race. That would be the saving grace for Johnson. He's back in the top 5. He passed Truex for position, and Wallace, who just pitted, obviously, he would have passed for position. So Jimmy Johnson's back to 5th. He's going to have to pit very soon, though. You have to push it to about 44, 45 to go to be able to make it with half can, or half tank. Should be 1 can. Got some other cars pitting. Just under 10 seconds behind Kenseth for the lead. He's got fresher tires, obviously, so he's eating into that deficit. Going fuel only, he should gain some time there too, but then he's going to be on older tires at the end of the race, going fuel only, but really wants a chance to get some track position back. Maybe there's a chance he can still be on the lead lap going fuel only also. Ran into the back of Clint Boyer there. Got some more cars pitting over recent laps. Johnson now to 4th place. Kenseth gets to the start-finish line this time by. We will have 50 laps to go at Bristol. Ryan Vickers is on pit road. Johnson 3 wide. Oh, and the 138's trying to pit. He ran into the 48. He was committed to trying to pit. I'm surprised it didn't turn me into the wall. Thank goodness it didn't. Pretty hard contact in the center of the corner, 3 wide. 138 was committed to pitting regardless if he was on the bottom or not. That's something you would see in NASCAR 22. Seeing it here in NASCAR 07. Kenseth still on the track. Johnson's really only going to be able to go a couple more laps. Tony Stewart to the lead. I think Kenseth just pitted from the lead. Johnson about 4 seconds behind Smoke in 3rd. Johnson will stay out 2 more laps. Danny O'Quinn Jr. pretty slow there. Johnson to 2nd. Tony Stewart was the last car to hit pit road during green flag stops last time. Johnson will stay out this time by. Jimmy will pit next lap. Jimmy Johnson will be pitting this time. Just gets to the inside of the 33. We had a green-white checkered finish in the last race. Johnson coming in fast. Speed limit 70 miles an hour at every track in this game, so Jimmy trying to take advantage of that. It'll be a 4-tire stop. Just enough fuel to get to the end, and that's it. Splash and go. They did not get the fuel tank full earlier, so trying to come back from that deficit. 8.8 seconds. Off and away he goes. Tony Stewart. So Johnson scored in 3rd, hitting pit road when he did. Tony Stewart is in the pits right now. So we'll get Johnson his lap back. And then he will be in 2nd. Only behind Kenny Wallace. Not sure how many cars will be on the lead lap, but won't be many. Johnson's 11 seconds off the lead. 40 laps left. And we kind of bailed ourselves out. There were so many cars a lap down. I think Tony Stewart just got up to speed in front of the 22, so he'll still be on the lead lap. Not sure exactly how many other cars would be on the lead lap. If Johnson would have taken tires there, definitely wouldn't be able to make it to the end. Just ran his fastest lap, 15.154. Jimmy is pushing extraordinarily hard right now. Another fastest lap, 15.117. Not really much lap traffic in front of Kenny Wallace, a lot in front of Johnson. He needs these guys to get out of the way. And he's getting by him cleanly. Pretty quick for the most part. Johnson driving the wheels off this thing. He's got about 30 to 40 lap older tires. Didn't Gregson run like 100 lap old tires at Bristol last year and still finish like second? I wouldn't say 40 lap older tires is impossible. In the Xfinity Series too. Purple Express, thanks for tuning in. Yeah, we're so close. I think at the end of the stream last night, I was 8 subscribers away. And then when I checked when I woke up this morning, I'm 6 away. So we might be there now. I have no clue. I know it updates on YouTube a little bit later than what it does on the YouTube Studio app. I may be the first to know. Lead's cut down to 7.7 seconds. The problem is there's only 29 laps to go. Kenny Wallace could be coasting it right now, trying to save his tires. Contact. First lap car, I think Johnson's made contact with since he left pit road. $25 laps to go. That's the thing, 25 laps at Bristol, not a long time. Had a little bit of more open space, trying to run. Johnson trying to get his third win. Definitely better finish than Talladega earlier today. Pit road blunder. Maybe the thing that cost him. 3 wide dive. Getting by the fantasy driver as well as Elliott Sadler. That last time. Still have one more field pass yet to get out as well. 5.5 seconds off the lead. 3 away. Oh, jeez. Hope we get there, man. We might get there tonight. Definitely subscribe if you haven't done so already. I feel like a lot of you guys watching right now are probably subscribed though, so. There are too many people in the chat right now. Hit the like button also if you haven't done so. It helps out a ton. These streams got 26 likes tonight. 20 laps to go. 5 seconds off the lead. It's just not. Johnson's been faster. Just ran into the side of Biffle. He is just got to be upset that this race potentially got away from Jimmy. He didn't have the best car. Kyle Busch probably did. That caution in the middle of green flag pit stops hurt Kyle Busch. And his chances to win it opened the door up for Jimmy Johnson. And they didn't get the fuel can full. They had to make an extra stop. They went fuel only. He was able to make up a lot of time, though, on about 90-plus lap fresher tires. That's why he's only 4.5 seconds off the lead. May have a quicker car than Kenny Wallace as well, which definitely helps. Gonna get by Ryan Newman in the 39. You bet he gets a chance to get to Kenny Wallace. He's gonna be using the bumper to try to get the win. Don't know if he's gonna get there or not, though. Paul Menard blowing up. We'll take that final field pass of the race. We'll go to Kyle Busch in the 5. For a couple laps, and then we got to get to Vickers yet. 4 seconds back, though. About 16 to go. Busch is in 5th. He's a lap down. There's Menard still trying to get back to pit road. I think Kenny Wallace is the next car up ahead of Kyle Busch, too. Vickers just in front of the 22 right now. That is interesting. 2 away. There we go. We got 2 more subs to get to 4,000. I was really hoping we'd get there last night. We got so close. We're even closer now. That's the race within the race, is the race to 4,000 subscribers. Go one more lap with Vickers. Vickers is in 9th. He's 1 lap down right now. We'll transfer back to Jimmy Johnson here for about the last dozen laps of tonight's race. Jimmy is 4.2 seconds off the lead still. 10 laps to go. Johnson's going to be pushing on fuel to the end. We're having Brian Vickers try to hold up Kenny Wallace right now. We'll see if it's going to work. Well, Hendrick Motorsport teammate action going on right now. Can Vickers hold up the race leader, Kenny Wallace, enough for Jimmy Johnson to close that gap? It was a 4.2 second lead with 10 to go. It's down to 3 seconds now with 8 laps left. Vickers is holding up the race leader, Kenny Wallace, for his teammate Jimmy Johnson to try to get the win. Oh, Johnson overdrove turn 1, though. He got into the lap car. It's going to cost him a little bit of time. Six to go. 2 seconds back. He held him up for a little bit. Johnson gets by Vickers quickly. Kyle Busch just up ahead. We're going to have Busch back off and allow Johnson to pass him cleanly here. Tight. Busch held the 48. Way too tight contact with the teammates. The lead's down to a second. But that contact that Busch gave Johnson there definitely hurt him. 2 to go at the line. Jimmy's trying to make a run at it. I think Vickers held him up a couple seconds, and that might be the difference. Line of traffic in front of Kenny Wallace. I don't know if Johnson's going to get there. He's quicker. But he's got one lap, and he's about 0.4 of a second off the lead. I don't think he's going to get there. He's going to send it. Oh! Almost got him. I'm surprised I stuck the corner, honestly. I had to check up so much in the center. Oh, man. Oh, jeez. No, I meant to use the follow command because I figured he'd slow him down more than if he was just trying to block him. Which he did. I was half tempted to full throttle it into the corner, but I knew I was going to wreck myself. I knew Tony Stewart was still in the lead lap. I tried. Kenny Wallace gets the win. He earned it, though. He led 111 laps today. I don't know if he caught Kyle Busch for the most laps led. He did. Oh, wow. Kenny Wallace gets a max points day, getting the win. Jimmy Johnson ends up second. Matt Kenseth third. Tony Stewart fourth. 4 cars finish on the lead lap, so I guess Kenseth passed Stewart late. Kyle Busch finishes fifth. 6 laps less led for him versus Kenny Wallace. Ryan Newman ends up finishing 6th. Mark Martin 7th. Martin Truex Jr. 8th. Brian Vickers 9th. Elliott Sadler finishes 10th. And that rounds out the top 10 tonight. So all the Hendrick cars finish in the top 10 at least. Looking at who all DNF'd. Todd Clover, Ferris, Irvin, and then Paul Menard. All blue engines. Menard blew up with 20 to go, so we ended up with 4 DNFs. Oh, other race stats. 13 lead changes, just the 1 caution back at lap 1, like, what was it, 122, 123. Average race speed of 118.08 miles per hour. Total race time, 1 hour, 21 minutes, 14 seconds. Margin of victory, 1/10 of a second. We got close. I was so close to tagging his left rear corner panel in the middle of the corner, but then I had to check up off the exit because I was not going to stick the corner driving it in as deep as I did. I was just trying to get to his bumper, and we almost did. I didn't think I was going to have a chance like 3-4 car lengths back, but I absolutely sent it as far as I could, as far as the tires would let me. Second place finish, though, it's a lot better than Talladega. We finished 11th. I mean, at least we stayed out of trouble tonight. I'll give ourselves that. Led laps in both races. We got 5 bonus points. Didn't lead many laps in the Talladega race, just 5, and then I think I didn't even see how many I led there. I'd have to go back and check. Next race for the Busch Series will be the Michigan 250 at Michigan. Check the point standings out before we end the stream. Alright. So we'll check out the standings. Easy, also welcome into the stream. I didn't see in the chat earlier. Kyle Busch back in the... actually, he was in the points lead before. Tony Stewart beat him by 1 position, and they both have 5 bonus points today. So Busch still 4 points ahead of Stewart, but he was only 9 points ahead going into this race after Talladega. Jimmy Johnson moves up to 5th. It's the first time we've been in the top 5 in points this year, and we cut the lead, the gap from 111 back to 92 back, and we gained, what, 3 spots in points in that race? So, yeah, pretty solid run. Second place, led some laps. Probably didn't have the quickest car. I think Kyle Busch had the quickest, but obviously got trapped a lap down with that caution in the middle of green flag stops and finished, right behind the race winner at the time, the race leaders. So he definitely got taken out of contention. Only 1 caution. Yeah, 300 laps, one caution at Bristol. We actually went through green flag stops the one time at the end of the race. So, alrighty, that's going to wrap up tonight's stream. NASCAR 07 will be back on the channel tomorrow. I believe it will be the Cup Series at Bristol. Also, if it's not that, it's the Truck Series doubleheader. But I believe NASCAR 07 Cup race will be tomorrow at 6. You can check the community tab to make sure. But, yeah, it's either a Truck doubleheader, NASCAR 07 for 250% races, Martinsville and Texas. And then the Cup race at Bristol will be 100%. Food City 500 laps. Try to go 4 for 4 with Mark Martin somehow. Who knows? I have to watch out, though. If we have a short pit window, that could hurt us, because that hurt us tonight, obviously. Came close to a win. Finished second, though. Gave it our all. thanks for everybody for watching. I'll see you guys tomorrow night.